Hello and welcome to the 15th episode of the Boar Hat Tavern Podcast, a podcast all about Seven Deadly Sins Grand Cross. I'm your host, Daz, and I'm joined today, as always, by my co-host of the podcast, Sandyy and Novage. Today, we've got a few things we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about Stranger Things collab and our reflection after having played with the characters for a week, because last show, we didn't really know the detailed specific. We knew like what Netmarble told us in the patch notes, but we hadn't had a chance to play with the characters yet. Now that we've had a week to play, I think we've got some unique perspective on exactly how they work and how we like them. We're going to then talk about what the three of us are running in PvP, both geared and ungeared PvP, and have that chat, because it's interesting to see that we all, I believe, run different comps and all those setups too. So it'll be good to talk about those and like why we like them, why we don't. And then we're going to end off the show with Whose Sound Is That Anyways? One of our popular game segments where we play a clip from the game and Sandyy and Novage battle it out to see who can guess the most correct responses to who those sounds are from. But before we get into the show, I heard Sandyy is fully immune to COVID now. Is that right?
Yes, so worth it. I got my second shot last week, and honestly, I got the Moderna. But for those of you getting the Moderna, that one just knocks you off your feet. I'm telling you, I have never felt so sick. I, at one point, thought this would be what death felt like. And I just sat on my bed with fevers, chills, aches, and just saying, please, 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 please. I just want to party again. Like, let this pass.
That was your motivation, that you wanted to party again, eh?
Yeah.
It's like, I don't even want to feel better. I just want to party again. I love it. Actually, I'm getting my first shot tomorrow, which is, well, I mean, I guess it's technically today where I am, May the 4th at 4:20. I was like, that's a perfect, it's Star Wars Day at 4:20. I was like, you can't time it better than that. So I'm pretty stoked to get my first shot. The rollout hasn't been as quick as it in Canada as it has down in the States for you guys. So, but I'm still pretty stoked. But Novage, we were talking before the show started, and you sound a little bit snivelly there. But is everything okay?
Yes, it's due to allergies. This time of year is horrible for me, so I apologize to the listeners if I sound a little muffled or stuffy nose. Like I taking Claritin and that wasn't working, so we already switched over to Claritin D. So yeah, trying definitely just to survive and get through May.
Yeah, it's a horrible time for anyone with severe allergies. Luckily, I haven't had to ever deal with that. But you know what? We'll give you a pass, Novage, if you need to take a second to blow your nose or something. But enough about allergies and shots. Let's get into the show. That's I'm sure what people actually want to hear about. And again, we're going to talk to start off with the Stranger Things characters. We're going to go over each one: Jim, Mike, Will, and 11, and we're going to just kind of give a reflection over what we think of these characters since they've been released, now that we've had some time to play with them, because it's a unique situation. Usually, even though if we hadn't had a chance to play with them, we've seen a lot of content about characters, because they're usually released on JP, at least weeks ahead, if not months ahead. So you can form an opinion about characters based on seeing other people use them. We haven't had that luxury. So now we have had the luxury of a week and some time to reflect on it. Let's look overall, and we'll start with Jim, good old Jim Hopper. And Sandyy, like, I'm assuming you got him because everybody did. He's the free unit. Have you used Jim? What do you think about it? I'm sure you've dusted him off a little bit, eh?
Yeah, you can't complain. Beggars can't, what's it called? Beggars can't be choosers. He's free. I'm glad I got him because, we were talking about it earlier, Daz, is that his passive works with all collab characters. Like, is that broken? I mean, I don't have the resources to really invest in him, like for equipment wise, but I can just see the potential, right? You were talking about with Keo, but oh my goodness, what about the ReZero characters? Like, what are we looking at? Is this something that Netmarble just kind of slipped stealthily at us and was like, do what you want?
I can't believe, like, I remember, I think last show when we were talking about, I was like, there's no way it's going to be for anything outside of the Stranger Things collab characters this is going to be active for. I was like, it's just, Netmarble not being clear with their descriptions, but it is. And to be honest with you, I think Jim's probably got the most future potential and staying power as a unit. DPS, they get power crept in any gacha game, right? Just, you can always tweak damage numbers. One thing you can't easily replace is a good kit, and that's something that Jim has, a great passive. He's got a stun and an ult drain, all in the same character, and he's actually got a pretty strong ultimate too. Weak point ultimates hit really hard. He's got a pretty decent kit, and his passive where he puts the quick shot, whatever you call it, debuff on 2 people, it's nuts. We've been testing some teams out, mostly for Guild Wars, but I mean, a lot of it works for PvP as well. One crazy combo is actually putting him in with a Rugal, because his poison damage that you get from the Rugal hit, which we all know hits hard, you get not only 40% more damage from Rugal, but you also get a 60% poison the next turn. And people don't run cleanses very often in PvP. So that chunks people down. I've one-shot an Assault, well, one-shot, I say one-shot, but like one turn and then he dies at the beginning of the next turn. Assault Meliodas with that Rugal card, just one Pierce card, because he has so much damage. And Assault Meliodas actually has fairly low resistance, relatively speaking, too. So it's actually not a bad way to go about it. I'm not saying everyone should run out and dust off their Pierce comps and toss Hopper in there, but it still is just a neat effect, and it does show the potential for these crazy ideas. You mentioned Kyo, too, right? Like Kyo hitting 4% harder, putting a poison on people. That's pretty crazy. I'm really glad that Netmarble gave this unit as the free one. They seem to be doing that now, where they give, like, we're expecting, unless they change things, to get ROM, the unknown buffer. That's a great one too for the ReZero collab, because that's, again, a unit that is potentially going to be on everyone's must-have list in the future, but now everyone just gets them for free, which is an amazing move on Netmarble's part, making those kind of units that have that staying power the free ones on the collab. Novage, how about you, bud? What do you think about Jim? I kind of stole the mic away and just ripped it over here, but let's pass it back to you.
Yeah, no, you guys said so much about him. I agree with everything you guys said. Adding to all that, future units, I feel that whatever they're planning to release down the road for future collabs, it's almost like they got now have a hurdle they always need to double check. Like, how is this going to work with Jim Hopper? So I'm not sure if that limits any creativity down the road, or in a sense, like how they did with Chandler, and they had to readjust like a certain character. That's not always fun in games when they do that to a character. Usually it's always nice when they get buffs, but when they kind of nerf them out, it's people get a little irritated about that. But yeah, no. When I got him a day later, because I didn't get the check-in thing, there was that glitch going on, so I had to wait one extra more day. Haven't had a chance to run him in any teams yet, but so much potential. Obviously, the go-to I get one is Kyo, just like most people. But yeah, I look forward to testing him out in different anywhere, whether it's PvE or PvP. But I wonder if there's any use in him in future PvE content as well.
I almost wish I could sit down with a Netmarble executive, and maybe we'll one day, I don't know, and ask him or her a question, be like, hey, are there characters that you regret having released because it limited character design? Like you said, for Hopper, this could potentially limit future collab characters. You gotta pass the Hopper test, right? And similar to like maybe Green Gother, for instance, too, you gotta be like, well, is it going to be broken if we put him with the Green Gother, right? You got to like think about that kind of stuff down the road. So it'd be interesting to know if there's any units they regretted. Like I hate to say it, Sandy, but I almost wonder if they regret releasing Derriere to Red Derriere. I know it's going to make you feel so bad, but like just, it's great for some of the PvE content, but it's also toxic too, just how many times you got to run these guild bosses if you want top flight scores. It'd be nice if Dairy Queen didn't exist, if Green Gother didn't exist. I think guild bosses would be a lot more palatable for most people. Next, though, Mike. Sandy, what do you think about Mike?
Yeah, I have no nice things to say.
Poor Mike. What did he ever do to you?
I know. I hope he doesn't watch our podcast. He's just, nothing personal against you, Mike, but he's not impressive. And I mean, I've fought against people who are testing him, especially in ungeared. His output damage is just sad. There's so little that it doesn't even sting you. And honestly, he never survives like 2 hits. Maybe that's because I'm hanging out in Champs 5 in ungeared. Prove me wrong, But he's not impressive to me, Daz. I think he was just set on there. They could have done a lot more with his cards.
I completely agree. My notes, the first word I put was garbage. And I guess every character might have their place, but really it's kind of tough to see a good spot for Will. His Mike, his passive's kind of cool where he reduces attack damage of characters, but you need more than that. You can't be a one-trick pony. Like outside of that, like you said, his damage is lackluster, and beyond that, he's got like an alt rush mechanic. It's like, why? His alt's nothing to write home about either. I don't know. Tell me I'm wrong, Novage. Are me and Sandy crazy here? Is Mike just as bad as he sounds? Garbage boy of the banner.
So we all gotten to the point where we've already got the check-in tickets. I pulled with mine, and of all the units, I got Mike. And, wasn't happy about it. I was like, anyone but Mike. I feel like I was cursed from our discussion from last week's episode, and I got Mike. So haven't used him, but I don't know if I plan to use him. It's hard to try to see him in any group, but like Sandy mentioned, I have played against him, and he's easily to deal with, not threatened at all. Even when he's paired up with other collab, with Jim Hopper or 11, he's not a threat.
Is he the Benimaru of this collab? Benimaru being the slime collab unit that no one seems to use. I was like, wait a minute. Do you guys even remember who Benimaru is? I feel like he's like the forgettable character. People probably don't even remember who Benimaru is unless you've been playing the game for a while and you have him sitting in the bottom of your box.
He's
you should have saved that for one of the Jeopardy questions.
That's true. Yeah, I don't know how much more we want to talk about good old Mike here. So let's move on to the next unit. And I put garbage next to Mike, and I put hot garbage next to Will when I was writing my notes out too. So I don't have very much good to say about Will other than he's got a kind of interesting passive that doesn't seem to really work as well as maybe everyone was hoping. Personally, I think it hurts just as much as it helps you. Yeah, you get immunity for a turn, but with that turn, you just can't do anything. Your stats are all lowered. You can't alt rush. If you weren't alt sealed when that passive went up, that'd be cool. You'd like buy a turn to rush alt, right? Get your alt next turn. But really, like, what are you doing? You're just prolonging your death. At least that's the way it feels to me. I know some people have tried Will with tank teams to try and get that extra turn for your tank, because your tank doesn't necessarily have to output damage anyway, so you're buying an extra turn. But even if this had like an extra turn there of immunity, like one turn's not much. Really, you're only protecting yourself against damage from potentially 2 cards, maybe even less, because it only works for that attacker's turn, right? And then you're gimped for a turn. And then when they attack again, you're no longer invulnerable. So it just doesn't seem like it had all that much. Not to mention his damage cards are fairly lackluster as well. Again, maybe if you had a little bit more damage, it'd be a redeeming quality, but I just think his stats are just a little too low here. Sandy, is he hot garbage? Is he garbage? Where is he on the garbage scale?
Spoiler alert, he's useless just like he is in the show. And his alt, like, garbage. Like, it's an AoE and it's just 420%. Like, it doesn't do anything. Like, I don't know what he's there for. He's just there for show. I don't think that he's worth it. He's just, yeah, you know what? He belongs in the upside down. He doesn't even belong in your box. Like, don't even get him unless you're like a master collector. But even then, whoopee, you got garbage in your box.
this is becoming a depressing podcast. Novage, do you have anything good to say about this guy after me and Sandy just keep bashing all these characters?
I do actually. I do. I mean, both Will and Mike. No offense to the actors. If you watch, if you listen, or do a Google search on yourself to see how your collab's going. But I actually applaud the people, the content creators that actually have been trying. 5-star Awakening, what commitment to test these units out, and they try to make it work. I mean, I saw someone, like you said, a tank team, a little creative. They use Esterosa as the sub unit. So like I thought, I had hopes. I was like, whoa, the debuff immunity might cancel out the negative effects from his passive. No, they're gray buffs, so you still get them. So, I mean, I had hopes for a split second. I was like, that could work, like a Tarmiel, a Chandler, and a Will team with Esteros in the back. And that would be kind of like, let's see how that works. If they just go into their stance, they remove that debuff when that his passive kicked in. But unfortunately, it doesn't. But I mean, hey, people are out there trying it, showing us, so we don't have to waste the resources and find out the hard way. So, my hat's off to them.
Very much so, because they dumped a lot of coin into some of them, because you have to buy their cosmetics too, right? Well, let's end off the discussion of our reflection potentially on a good note. Let's talk about 11, because 11 is a bit more of a hype character, and I think positively received by most of the community, and as well as those content creators have spent a lot of money to max everything out for them. Sandy, did you end up getting 11? Did you pull hard enough to get her?
So, as I said, I've been saving my gems for the ReZero collab. And thank goodness they gave us those free check-in tickets for the pulls. And I pulled on a 10-ticket pull, and I actually got her. So I was fairly happy about that, getting her on the first pull. I consider that almost like very free to play. Netmarble gave that to us, plus giving us the hopper, which pairs so well with 11. And I haven't really taken her out onto the field in terms of like PvP. I've been so focused on work and then getting us prepared for Guild Wars. But to me, she seems the most potential for like PvE content. Not so much in PvP. Again, I fought, the Will, the Mike, the 11, the Hoppers. Nothing too impressive so far, but mind you, I am an ungeared, chilling at very low rank, champs 5. But, props to who has her 6/6 with a nice investment set, maybe taking her to geared. Please, someone tell me she's OP. Like, Novage, Daz, like, are you guys using her? I know Guild Wars, anything? What type of PvE content?
Okay, so I like 11. Sorry, Novage, I'm ripping that mic back in this direction again. I really like 11. One downside I'd say to her, like, I think a lot of people have likened her to like the blue Sariel, is that she doesn't necessarily perform well in the current meta. If you come across Escanors or Merlins, they can clap her pretty hard, so you do need to make sure you got some protection for her. But still, she does hit really hard, and she's a lot of fun to use. I've been using her on red demons too. I actually threw down some cash and bought her cosmetics. I was like, I'm maxing this one out, and it was a tough decision, but I decided to do it. And I've been enjoying it. I mean, I don't necessarily think she's like the best unit for red demon out there. Like, the one's much better, and Slater's arguably very similar. But she is a lot of fun, and I did take her into some ungeared PvP a little bit. I made a UR set for her as well, just for other content. But I found that her damage wasn't quite like as good. If you're going to bring a blue unit, I think you just bring the one. To be honest with you, it's just much more big daddy, hit someone, delete someone off the field damage compared to her. She does have a little bit less reliable critting, so you have to make sure that you have something to amplify her crit chance too, if you want to try and take advantage of her crit hitting. But one thing that I kind of like is whenever someone tosses up a Goddess Liz shield, it makes it so that that wave penalty that you take for her AoE disappears because it removes all the blue text stuff. And I haven't had a chance to try it yet, but I'm just waiting for the time that like an MK2 Valenti used the blue text disable card on me. Be like, oh yes, this is amazing, because you can use it without the penalty. But yeah, I mean, like we looked at her passive, and she gets 40% extra damage on all of her skills, which is nuts. But then it also had a little caveat, okay, but you lose 10% of your remaining HP. That's like negligible. I don't even like consider it when I use her. So I think they didn't even really bother. No, they didn't really need to put that in there. I feel like it's just kind of like maybe for like a little bit of flavor or theming there. But yeah, I mean, I like 11. I don't think you should rush out to max her and take her into PvP. I think there's better options out there. She's not meta changing, but she's a fun unit. What do you think, Novage?
I wish I had the luck that Sandy had and got 11 instead of Will. I since we all got Hopper, I played against some 11s and definitely, you know, some potential there. I played against some beefy ones that they must have bought, like all the cosmetics, maxed them out, and you know, with the right RNG and what is it? They a couple of my units, or whatever units they were targeting, had the passive on from Hopper, and getting hit by her like a gold or a silver card did some damage, and like I was just like, whoa. You know, not expecting that, because I have played, it's the you know, like Sandy said, in ungeared, I mean, like I'm in the middle, you get randoms, right? You can either be playing against someone like, you know, at the top tier, they're really maxed out, or you're playing against like a 1-6, 11 with no cosmetics, you know? So it's like, I feel that there's definitely more potential, because I fought a really strong one and I was really thrown off, kind of surprised. But, and now it's like, I'm at this, I got this week of the left of the collab to make a decision. Do I continue pulling, you know, in hopes to get her, or continue to save my gems for the next collab? Who knows if this collab will ever come back? And then once I do, then you have to make a decision like Daz did, buying the cosmetics, because they ain't going to the shop for you to buy for gems. So it's like, in a sense, the collab it does require you to spend some if you're really hardcore on developing any of these units.
And that's one very good point too. If you do get 11 and you do want to take her into higher level PvP, either geared or ungeared, if you've seen a lot of YouTube content where they're hitting so hard and doing all this, like a lot of that does require a lot of cosmetic investment. So just keep that in mind. If you happen to have her, just don't necessarily expect to be able to do those big daddy damage numbers. Big Dazzy. I should coin the term with my username there. But yeah, just be cognizant of that, because a lot of these DPS characters in particular, they require at least the weapons cosmetics. And Netmarble, for whatever scutsy reason, they've never made it so these collab units can get their cosmetics for gems, which I think is extraordinarily annoying. And it's the one of the things in the game that is free to play gated, like in terms of like, if you are a free to play player, you can't get access to that stuff. Like it's I feel like it's kind of unfair, because at least everything else in the game, well, most things you can get it. You just might not get as fast as someone who's investing money in it, but you can still get access to it. I mean, there are some cosmetics that come for dollars only, but they eventually may come back to for gems, right? So there's those options down the road, or you don't even necessarily need those cosmetics, because there's other ones the characters can have that you can get for gems. Anyways, that's my little rant for the moment. But I guess the final big question is, if you guys pulled to 600 and you get that free choice selector, assuming that you had bad luck and didn't get anybody, who would you guys pull? Sandy, like who would you pick for that collect character?
Hands down, you know, if I had 600 gems to spend, I'd get 11. I think she's worth it, you know. Yeah, that's who I would spend it on. But I mean, at the same time, okay, cool, my 11's 2-6.
She doesn't need a high ult though. That's one nice thing about her. She is kind of like a Sariel in that her cards do a lot of the damage. I mean, her ult can still hit pretty hard, and I'm sure no one would turn away a 6/6/11 at the door, right? So there is that. Novage, would you also pick 11? I mean, I guess we kind of already talked about it. Or maybe who knows? Maybe you'll go off book and be like, well, actually, I'm gonna 2-6 my hopper.
No, I since I don't have 11, that I think it'd be a unit that I do want. I need to give it a little bit more thought. But if I had the option and I made it to the end and didn't get any of the units, I would go for 11 because hopper's already there. So having both of them, I would be fairly happy.
Mike is crying a little bit on the inside, Novage. I think he was hoping that you might actually say Mike, but let's be realistic. That's not happening. So we've talked about all the characters. Let's move on to the next segment. We're going to talk about our PvP teams. We all do varying levels of PvP. Some of us like geared, some of us like ungeared. Some of us do more of one or the other. Some of us just do it for the weekly rewards of the daily gem. So we're going to go over each of our geared and ungeared teams, and we're going to talk about them a little bit so you guys can know exactly what we run. And we'll start with Sandyy. Sandyy, tell us about who you wine and dine when you take into PvP.
So I honestly, I don't focus on PvP that much. I do play more in ungeared just because I don't have a lot of resources for my equipment. So ungeared is where I play. I hang out in Champs 5, I don't want to go too hard. I'm not top 100 PvP whatsoever. And honestly, it's changed a lot. Super Awakening to level 5 stars has really changed the game for me. And I chose, honestly, to invest in units that I use for PvP or that I use in association, for example, like BDM, right, for Dairy Queen, or, King for Gother. And I jump around a lot, to be honest. I think that's why I kind of hang out in Champs 5. But I've stuck with this team now for 2 weeks, and it has, I would say, about a 95% win rate. And that's using, of course, the Broken Green Gother, Blue Dairy Queen, because I can't get enough of her. I don't care what color she is, blue, green, red, just have to play with her. And then, of course, I have to kind of just, flex with my 6'6" Nanashi. I love that man. Nanashi is just a hidden secret, honestly. You put him in the sub slot and he helps with survivability, ult control, and if you don't know how to play against him with those buffs, you're continuously losing ult, right? Now add on Blue Dairy. Shame on me for not getting her 6/6 with the collab. I hope she comes back. Because her damage is not only decent, but her taunt and the buff skill, like the cancel buff skills, they're so useful in the meta, especially like God Liz, excuse my French, but get that shield out of here. I love doing that, right? Or taking it off of Assault Melee. You just come in with a rank 1 and she's just like, boom, bye. And then Green Gother for me, so broken with the one. The one is just your damage dealer, just rank up. It's like an alt stall team, but because again, T1, Green Gother, Dairy Queen, Nanashi, I put in the investment, all their cosmetics are maxed out. SA5, their associations are SA5. I am beef, hanging out in Champs 5, mind you. If I go first, GG. That's it, that's most of the time. So fairly easy. I just do my daily task, but very excited. Assault Melee teams do make me work a little bit harder. Have you gone against that, Daz?
Well, I have a question for you before we get into that. Yeah. What food do you run with it? Do you run just like festival coin food because you're just you can't rank down anyways, or do you run something so you can go first? Like do you run CC food, evade food? Like what are you running with this team?
No, I don't use evade food. I don't use CC food. I'm using HP food. Ooh. So yeah, you're gonna have to come at me. The recovery rate and just the lifesteal on these characters, you're not gonna do much damage, and especially with Nanashi with those buffs, not only is he going to deplete your orbs, right? He also increases your stats. So survivability, it's going to take a lot for you to wipe it out. I love that team so far. But who knows? Look at me bragging when I'm in Champs 5. So
getting back to your question, like I think your team actually counters the team that I'm going to talk about quite a bit. But what also I think it counters really well is Assault Meliodas with Red Melascula too, because that buff strip, not only can you get through Droll with Blue Dairy, not only can you get through Droll, but you can also take off the Melascula Revive, whatever it's called, like the death protection. So I think Blue Dairy has got a spot. I'm actually surprised you don't see more of her. Typically, I think more I see just the green Deannes when I'm in ungeared, particularly again in that tank spot if they have a tank, or even the Goddess Liz, which I guess you can kind of say fulfills a similar role in protecting your more fragile units. So how about geared? What are you running in gear? Are you running much geared, Sandy?
No, I don't run much geared. I've kind of just left that alone. When I did run geared, it was during the meta of, Lost Vein, Goddess Liz, Green Gother. And then I kind of just gave up on that. I'm thinking, however, because I've done so much investment for Guild Wars, I might take that Pierce team into ungeared because, I started from the bottom. I can only go up, right? Maybe make my way really quick, get those points. But I'll get back to you next week. I am actually going to try it out geared.
I think you'd be surprised how fast you're going to climb, especially through like the lower levels. I was helping a friend who, in a very similar situation, hasn't done geared in a long time, just worked their way back up, and it's really hit or miss in the lower levels of geared. You get some people that are probably just like you, who are just, maybe coming in to try it a little bit, but then you get a lot of people who are just newer to the game, maybe they just unlocked ungeared, and I almost feel bad for them when you just stomp over them because, we are day one players. But yeah, it's exciting. You have to let us know how that goes, but that'll be a story for another day. But a story we have for today is Novage's PvP teams. Novage, how are you doing it in gear? Do you run the same team as Sandy, or do you have something else spicy to shake up the meta?
I wish I had something new and spicy to mention. A very similar team I'm running. From the last couple shows way back when we had a guest from our guild, Kirito, we talked about PvP on that show, on that podcast episode, and I'm running T1, Green Gother, and Blue Dairy. I have her 5/6, so it's fun, because it's definitely for ungeared. Having that extra CC boost from ults is kind of nice. And my sub, it was Goddess Liz. So very fun team to run. I enjoy it. I haven't really been forced to really change due to like new characters added to the game, whether it's Baby Merlin or the collab characters. It's just fun. And what makes that team fun is actually not the one. It's actually Blue Dairy. Again, like you guys were saying, it's just fun. Most people, I guess, either don't know or kind of forget that her rank 1 will remove buffs. So every time I'm fighting against Goddess Liz, and they pop the shield to protect them from me taking throwing Green Gother pumpkin bombs on them. I just go take you take off your shields, throw a pumpkin bomb, things like that. It's just fun. And as you mentioned earlier, some of the taunts, when they're blue icons, her rank 1 will remove their taunt, like Droll. Tarmiel's his stance, unfortunately, her rank 1 won't too. But if you get a rank 3, it will remove his stance. So that's helpful too. So yeah, that ungeared team is the reason why I enjoy it. It's all around Blue Dairy.
The other stealth thing about Blue Dairy too is her passive, where when she gets 3 stacks and you attack her, she ult disables people too. I feel like that one is a little less visual because you don't actually see it. Like I feel like they should have put gray buffs or something on her. But the only way you could tell how many stacks she has is if you actually inspect her, which plays to the the benefit of anyone who's running Blue Dairy too, because a lot of people, don't do their homework on every single character in the game and not realize why their ults aren't working right. So another bonus for Blue Dairy, who seems to be the star of the show today. But how about geared, Novage? What are you thinking for geared?
Geared, especially last couple of months when the whole community was pushing back at Netmarble for moving so fast and high paced with their releases of characters. I mean, back when the Archangels dropped, that's when it kind of made it hard for me. I mean, you climb all the way up to the top, and to fight even harder to stay in Challenger and all that stuff, and you got these characters dropping, and these characters were the Archangels. They would change the dynamics, and you got more festival units at the time. There was like Festival King with the Demon Hendrickson, and it's like I honestly could not keep up with. I mean, I enjoy trying to get the characters, but the next thing was trying to, again, which we talked about the collabs, getting their cosmetics, making UR sets for these people to be able to compete in these top tier PvP brackets. And I kind of just started falling down the chain, like going down and kind of just, I mean, now that they're slowed down a little bit, yeah, I've been forced to, because of the content in Guild Wars, to create more UR sets, because it's definitely been given a longer time to kind of focus on that I may be able to play around and give PvP again because it's slowed down. Sandy, you have some comments you want to chime in a little bit?
No, I'm very, it seems we use very similar teams, and I guess we both don't focus on geared, but I'm very curious on what Daz uses, because he mentioned that our team could probably counter his. So what team is this? Ungeared or geared?
So, well, it's my ungeared team, and it's your ungeared team that counters my ungeared team. And I want to give props to Seaton, because he's the one who kind of gave me the idea of this quite a while ago. It's running the one. I always feel bad, but I mean, I guess that's the common thread here. Blue Droll and Green Gother, and then Red Zeldris in the sub. And it works extraordinarily well for me. The one matchup that is potentially bad is coming across Blue Dairies, but I don't see a ton of them. Again, for similar reasons we mentioned before, because my strategy, and I'm going to go over that in a second, kind of relies on Droll's taunt. And if you strip that taunt away, you're exposed, because you don't have that Goddess Liz or that Green Deanne to stay in front of my T1, and he is awfully susceptible to getting one tapped by the other team's T1 or a Merlin, who also hits him pretty hard. This comp even seems to work pretty well against Merlin comps, which, I mean, you don't see as many of them in ungeared, but in ungeared, Merlin doesn't hit as quite as hard as she does in geared comps when you've maxed her out and such. So the way that I run it, I usually run CC food. I don't climb super high. I think I'm in champ like 3-ish, so I just kind of maintain level to get some extra gems. I run CC food because going first is fairly important, and it seems that I can consistently go first generally, but even if you don't go first, it's not the end of the world. What I do is I rank up my Droll, so he's got his 2-turn taunt, and then also has a Petrify. So I rank up Droll, I use his 2-turn taunt, so I get 2 turns of free reign against the other team, and I just throw up some pumpkin bombs at the other team. If they got evade food, it procs their evade, makes me nice and happy that I got rid of that one with a pretty low hit damaging ability. But if not, you get that all control too. But the great thing about it is, yeah, you got those 2 turns, which basically stall out. Your T1 ramps up over 2 turns too. So by the time you're confident that you can get that revive off of, the Goddess Liz revive off of their damage healer or whatever, you've hopefully got a rank up. Maybe you got a couple more T1 cards, you merge them, you can rush alt. There's a lot of different options that you have, because you sit there behind Big Daddy Droll and you feel nice and cozy. And not many characters can get through that, with the exception of Blue Dairy. And it even works well against type disadvantage with Salt Meliodas too. You can just rush alt with T1 and just sit back there, and there's not much that he can do. And then you alt and you can can destroy Assault Meliodas if he's not hiding behind his blue droll, who doesn't usually have a silver because he doesn't have a Gother in the back. So it's usually a one-turn taunt. You just kind of wait it out. But also if he is taunting, and if there's a little other Melascula hiding back there, you just ult into the droll. It removes his taunt because when Melascula's revive protection procs, he loses his taunt, which a lot of characters, like you see a lot of people BMing at you. You're like, oh, guess what? I can get through that droll with my ult. And then you just target the Assault Meliodas, maybe with likely a gold card or two by that point, and then you don't have to worry about him getting revived or death protected. So I like that combo quite a bit. It works well for me. It can go wrong if you go second, but often it doesn't, because T1's on the other team, and ungeared at least. It's kind of hard for them to tap you. I mean, if they rank up and they get like a crit or two, they can potentially get rid of your T1. But even then, you've got Droll with a decently strong ult, and you got Zeldris and Gother, and you can actually still kind of do work against the enemy team. I've won lots of teams where I've lost my T1 the first turn, and you just weather the storm, rush your ults. You've got Droll with crazy regen too every turn. It's hard for anyone to get through that Droll. And it can get work done. So I like that a lot, and it's been doing me well for the past month or two. But don't want to run into those blue dairies you guys have. What do you think? Do you think, am I on to something? You guys thinking maybe to try and Droll out instead of blue dairy? If I convinced you that he's got some uses here?
I think we need a friendly match.
I think so. Can I ban one of your characters? Spoiler alert, I'll ban blue dairy. In geared though, and I do a bit of geared. I'm doing more geared now too, just because they changed how the shop works. Not the new items they put in the PvP shop because they're ridiculously overpriced, but just because you can actually get more anvils now. I really want to try and get to Challenger every week. I was always sitting, whatever the one below Challenger is, but like level 5, so 5 tiers out of Challenger, and just kind of floating there trying to get my 2,000 festival coins every week so I could get a lot of anvils from it. But now I'm making that push back up to Challenger, and what's been helping me do that is this team, and it is like playing with fire. This team, but I do like it a lot. It's actually Baby Merlin, Ludociel, and Sariel with Goddess Liz in the back, and it works really well having two hard-hitting, crit-reliant damage dealers in your comp, because if one dies, you got the other one. And yes, I don't have a Goddess Liz or a tank to protect me. I'm obviously running CC food because I need to go. I really would like to go first if possible. Like that's like a very important thing. Not only because Ludociel, if he out CCs everybody, gets the little debuff thing on them, but you're pretty fragile. But yeah, a lot of people will go for Sariel or maybe Ludociel first. And yeah, if they go first, maybe they'll kill him, but then Goddess Liz pops up and suddenly I've got a Goddess Liz Ludo Merlin comp, and that's nice too, right? Or, Goddess Liz Merlin and Sariel comp, which is nice for other reasons. One of the cool things about this comp too is one thing that Merlin does that might be overlooked sometimes is the Infect card that she has, the AoE. The one gets kind of wrecked by Merlin to begin with, but if you don't have enough damage to kill the one, even get him like down to half health and putting that Infect card up, he can't do his usual life stealy thing, which is really frustrating on the ones. So you can kind of keep him, maintain him at a reasonable health barrier, and if you do that AoE plus Sariel's AoE plus a Sariel spike card, if they got a Deanne, you can get rid of that taunt pretty easily too. It's just so much damage. You can end off your first turn, then everyone on the other team's at like 10% health, right? So it's phenomenal, and I love the damage it puts out. If nothing else, it is a lot of fun. So that's the team that I've been running in PvP, and I don't come across it very often, and it does seem to do well against most comps. Again, it does better if you go first, like most comps do. But it does perform well because you do have two damage dealers that are different colors. So no matter what color you come across, you generally have type advantage, or at least type neutral against that composition. So yeah, I don't know. When you saw this team in the notes, Novage, is it something that you think you'd like to try? I mean, but by the way, for the record, my Ludociel isn't like maxed everything. I may have maxed cosmetics and stuff, but he's only 2.6, and I seem to out CC people most of the time with it.
Yeah, no, I mean, you got me sold. Having both Merlin and Sario with their power strike moves and the color, like you said, you're either going to have a color advantage or neutral, and most likely they may kill one or the other, or even Ludo, and Goddess Liz comes in. So yeah, it seems. I mean, I have those units, and I have UR sets for them. So hey, you might have already chosen my first team to start to climb back up.
Well, that's a tough thing with geared. Like you were saying before, there's like that huge barrier. The only reason I use these 3 units is because they're 3 units that I already had built up for other content, notably Guild Wars. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to put these 3 together. I've spent a lot of time and investment on them and see how it goes. And it ended up going pretty well. And Goddess Liz too. Most people have her worked on. But it's tough to switch teams in geared and adjust to the meta. But I think if you do end up having that lightning in a bottle and the characters you have geared up and everything happen to work well together and work well in the meta, that's the time you grind up that geared PvP while you can. And like I was saying before, now when you get to Challenger, getting 3,000 of those Fight Festival coins, being able to get a lot of anvils every week from it, that's a resource that you shouldn't be sticking your nose up at. That's pretty valuable. Anvils are probably one of the most important resources in the game. Okay, Sandy, do you have anything to say about my comp before we move on?
No, I might try that out. Luckily, I mean, my Sario's not great, but my Ludo is 6'6". So I don't know. I might try this out. My baby Merlin's also 6'6". So I'm going to try this. I might have to work on the rolls on their equipment, but yeah, let's climb back up. And I'm going to say kudos to Daz. I'll let you know where I am.
Once you see the damage that these 2 units work on together, there's no going back. You get addicted really quickly. It's a lot of fun. All right, so starting to wind down to the end of our show. We usually do the featured comment before the game. So, Sandy, you want to take us through this featured comment for the week?
Absolutely. Every week, it's becoming tradition now that we have a featured comment. Wherever our listeners or our viewers are leaving us comments, whether that be on YouTube, Discord, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, wherever you find us, we will try to feature one comment per episode on our podcast. And today's exciting because we have an Apple Podcast comment coming from Todd. So Todd says, love the podcast. These guys are amazing. I have a question I'd love you guys to answer on the show. I'm free to play and I've got about 900 gems saved up. I don't like Stranger Things, so I'm trying to decide if I should pull on ReZero or if I should save for the Festival Zeldris banner and hope I get Chandler. Todd, oh my goodness, what a filled question. Personally, what would you do, Novage? Let's start with you.
Personally, if I was in that scenario, I want to say ReZero. The reason behind that is that they did do some adjustments to Chandler, so a lot of the early video content that is probably still out on YouTube is not what you're going to get, and in hopes that Chandler's added to some other ticket draw. Again, I feel that there will be more chances to get Chandler down the road, and not the ReZero collab characters. That's just me personally. I'm sure you guys may have a different thoughts. Daz, you want to take the mic next?
I'll rip it away from you, Novage, anytime you give it to me. You better watch it when you offer it up, because I might not give it back. Yeah, you know what? I'm actually I have a similar opinion to you, Novage. I don't think, you should always follow your heart when you're pulling. Like, it's a game, right? Like, whatever units you kind of want to go for. The problem I have with the Chandler banner is not only is Festival Zeldris not necessarily the best festival unit out there, but also Chandler isn't a guaranteed one. So if you spend 900 gems on that banner, I think I can't remember, one of the popular YouTubers said, on average, if you spend 1,100 gems, you will get a copy of Chandler. At least that's like how the probabilities go. Maybe it's like you got like a 50% chance of getting him, but like either way, like that's not a chance I'd want to take with 900 gems. Whatever those probabilities end up being, it's just as likely as not that you're not going to get them and be very disappointed. So I think what Novage is saying is a good idea. Like if you are free to play and you don't have a lot of gems to throw at a banner and a prayer, you'll be able to get him down the road. It might be a long time from now, but he will be on other banners. He's going to be on the demon ticket banner too. So if Chandler's something you want to have your sights on, start saving those demon tickets, because I mean the chances are low, but maybe you'll get lucky. Maybe you can have 30 of them banked up by the time that he's released on the fairy tickets or the demon tickets. But I like ReZero, so I'm gonna be pulling on that, and I'm honestly I think I'm gonna skip the Festival's Eldritch banner, at least personally, because I'm not a fan of chasing a character with a really low drop rate. It's just something that I'm against. I like the guarantees. At least on ReZero, you get 600. Not only do you get 100 gems back because of what they said they're going to be doing, but you also can pick the characters you want. Granted, like if you're trying to chase a 6/6, oh my gosh, I forgot her name. The good one.
Amelia.
Oh gosh, how did I forget that? She's the one I want too. If you're gonna chase 6/6 Amelia, yeah, like maybe just getting a 1/6 Chandler will be a lot cheaper and probably closer to guaranteed. But still, like there are good units on the banner. Like not Beatrice necessarily, but Ram and Ram are both, or Ram and Ram. Or Ram, I don't know. The two maids, they're both pretty good. Amelia can be good too if you get her high alt level. And you know what? Even if you don't get her high alt level, she can still be a good utility unit. Maybe she doesn't do as much damage as she would if she was 6/6. But anyways, that'd be my advice. But follow your heart, Todd. Yep, Sandy is. Did you give your opinion? I don't think you gave your opinion on it. You kind of like passed it off to me and Novage. But what would you do?
We have touched on this so many times, with collab banners, you don't know if they're coming back. So it's going to be hard to pass up the ReZero collab banner because festival banners, they might come back. They might show up in other banners. So I think I'm going to pass on the festival Zeldris. And again, it isn't a guarantee to get Chandler, but the ReZero characters are worth it, especially since we're chasing that new guild boss soon. And that's all I'm good at. So I will be throwing money. I've been saving gems for it. And getting to 600, picking the character you want, getting 100 gems back, like that seems a lot better than a crappy drop rate for the festival Zeldris banner. Sorry.
And some people are mentioning in chat too, like there are other units projected to be around the corner too. We're going to have another festival unit. And after that, we're going to have another festival unit, another festival unit. There's a good chance that some of these are going to be broken, and even the characters in between too. So, you know what? If you're not sure, maybe the best answer is just hold on to those gems, because there's always something new and shiny around the corner. And it might literally be the thing after the Chandler Festival Festival Zeldris banner. Might be the new broken thing, right? It might not even be on a festival banner. So now that we're getting closer on global to the unknown, right? Like you can't see as far into the future. You got to make sure you got those gems ready for when you need them, especially if you're a free-to-play player. But now is the time where we're going to play a little bit of a game. And we're going to play Whose Sound Is That Anyways? And I just kind of realized I don't have a place to mark the scores, but I'll figure that out. So Whose Sound Is That Anyways? Basically what I do is I will play a sound clip from the game. Sandy and Novage get to buzz in and try and guess which character that did that sound, as well as what skill or ultimate ability it was. Now, character gets you one or gets you a certain amount of points, and you get double if you get the skill. But the skills, they're usually tougher, so we're not expecting a lot out of you guys. But Sandy and Novage, are you ready for Whose Sound Is That Anyways? I see thumbs up. That's good. Okay, so we got kind of categories. So we'll start with Stranger Things, and let's do Jeopardy type score. So we'll say for 100 points. So it's 100 points, and if you get If you get it wrong, don't worry. These aren't the easiest things in the world. But if you get them right, you get that money. And if you get the skill that goes with it and the name of it, then you'll get a bonus 100 points as well. So let me just pull it up here. Now, this is the first one. You guys ready for it? Stranger Things. So it's one of the Stranger Things characters. Okay, and here it is. Okay. Novage, I see your hand up there first, bud. Who is that?
I'm going to go with, is that 11?
That is 11. And do you know the name of the skill? That's what the awkward pause is for. I'm waiting for you to tell me the name of the skill. Oh, Sandy, you going for the steal?
I don't.
Because we allow steals.
Yeah, I don't remember it. Let's see if she steals.
Do you remember the name of the...
Or is she looking at...
Am I allowed to hear it again?
Yeah, sure. Ready? Here we go. There it was. You know who the character...
I can't tell if it's the AoE or the single target.
Do you know the names of either of those? You need the
I know
name
one.
of it. Well, why don't you take a stab? You don't get any negative points.
Okay, is it... I'm thinking it's the single target psychokinesis.
That's correct. Oh my gosh. I can't believe someone actually got a skill name.
I thought it was the AoE. I was like, is it the wagon or is it that little bubble thing? I couldn't tell.
All right. Well, you guys are officially all tied up at 100 points each. So we're going to move on to the next one. And here it is.
Pusero.
Oh, geez. I didn't see who put their hand up first. I looked away for half a second, looked back, and you both have your hands up. We'll use the honor system. Who had their hand up there first? Sandy thinks it was her. Okay, Sandy, who is it?
No, I think it was Novage.
She did go. Go for it, Sandy.
I think it is Mike Wheeler.
And you think wrong.
Oh my gosh.
So Novage, not only does he look like a gentleman, but he also gets to go for the steal.
I'm going to guess, is it Will?
By process of elimination, the two young boy kids in the collab, yes, it is Will. Do you know the name of the ability?
I do not.
It's called Blizzard Rain, and that's his AoE flood ability, which is horrible. So now moving on to the last one in the Stranger Things section. Here we go.
Oi, yamero!
Okay, I saw Novage's hand up first there, definitely this time. So Novage, who was that?
I'm going to go with Jim Hopper. I don't remember the skill. I know I unlocked his passive. That's why I recognized it, but I don't remember the name of it. I know we went over it last week.
Sure did. Sandy, you going to go for the steal, or Novage, you going to try a guess? Venture one? Okay, well, I guess that's the timer up. It's called Kick and Shoot. It's a stun ability. It's a stun card. That's a little tweet at the end. That was a stun. Okay, we're moving into the next section. These are for 200 points apiece. And this is festival time, which very cleverly named. I spent a lot of time on these category names. These are all festival units. Now, festival can be any kind of festival, so don't get any technical bits on me with Holy War festivals versus regular festivals, just festival units. Okay, so here is the first one. Oh, is that Sandy? I swear that I need to get a better buzzer system here. We'll go with Sandy. What who's that?
It says Baby Merlin.
Sure is.
I don't know what her card is called.
Not many people do.
I know it's the single target.
Well, we'll talk about what card it is afterwards, but Novage, do you know what the card is called that you think that sound goes with?
I don't. I was not prepared. You're stumping us this show with the skills.
Yeah, the skills are tough. It's just for bonus points. It's the character we really care about. It is actually her AoE ability, and it's called Double Mana Fusion. So sorry, Sandy. Even if you did know the name of the single target card, you would have gotten it wrong. So, okay, let's go on to the next one. Ready, guys? Here we go. Sandy's hands up. Who is that, Sandy?
Salt Meliodas.
That is correct. Now, do you know the name of the ability? This one actually, some people might know.
I'm stumped. No names are coming to me today.
No, but you're gonna go for the steal, or just give it to Sandy?
I can't.
It's a single
Can't
target.
picture it, but I bet you. You know what? I know in these moments, I actually look forward to at the end of the show running back and looking at the stream log. And I'm sure the people in the chat are going crazy. They're probably saying, "How could you not know it?" They're probably typing it right now. I don't follow the chat right now for this purpose because I don't want to be.
They're being good. They're not trying to spoil it. So it's actually called Dark Sword, and it's actually a big dark sword. So I guess it's one of those literal ones that kind of makes sense. Okay, so currently the score is 500 for Sandy, 300 for Novage. So Sandy, you've been pulling away here with these last couple. So here we go. The next one is the last one for festival time. Okay, Novage got his hand up first. He doesn't want to be left too much in Sandy's dust. So which character is that?
I think Sandy was lagging. It looked like a long delay for her to read. That's Goddess Liz. I'm terrible today with names. I mean, these are all skills that we use, but I'm just taking for granted what the text says at the bottom of the screen. I mean, I play mostly on my phone, so therefore it's like, it's not very large for me. So I don't play on BlueStacks actually. So I don't. I know it at one point. So
how about you, Sandy? This is actually a strange one. I wasn't expecting it. It's called Let There Be Light, of all things. Go figure. Let's get into the fun ones. These are for 300 points. They're the ultimates. And these, again, I didn't spend much time naming these categories. I just called it commandments because it's some of the 10 commandments. All right, so here is the first one. Okay, any guesses, guys? I know everyone skips alts. Bet you wish you didn't skip alts now, don't you? Sandy, you're going to go for it?
I'm going to guess it's Droll.
It sure is Droll. Do you know the name of his alt?
No, I don't.
How about you know? But you know the name of Droll's alt? Gigafall. That's a big 300 points for Sandy. And she pulls right back in the lead. Now it's 800 for Sandy, 500 for Novage. But don't worry, Novage. Don't worry, because we got 2 more alts left. So you can come back here. Ready for the next one?
I feel like next time we do this show, I'm gonna have to study back in the days for school. I'm gonna memory cards.
You do you, man. You can save it if you really want to. I'm not sure if you're going to reap a lot of rewards except for a few bragging rights, but, that's important for some. But anyways, next alt on the list is this one. So Sandy, I saw your hand go up, go back down, then go back up, then go back down. I think that counts as a buzz. So I'd like to hear what your guess is.
I would have totally guessed this one. I thought I had it, and now I'm second guessing. Is it Glocks?
It sure is Glocks. Do you know the name of Glocks' ultimate? This is a tough one.
No, I don't. I just don't.
How about you, Novage? Any want to take a shot in the dark for this one?
Following King's theme, it's probably something garden.
That's not gonna.
No,
That's not gonna cut it.
nothing.
No, even if you were,
Yeah,
even if you're close to right there, that wouldn't have cut it. It's actually Spirit Spear Bascius, which I would have taken, but it's also the first form Bascius if you want to do like the full text. Okay, so now we're sitting Sandyy at 1,100 and Novage at 500, but it's not out of reach because Novage, you can still tie mathematically if you get not only the character but the name of the alt. And I'll give you a little spoiler: you both should know the name of this alt. You ready? This might be a quick trigger finger situation. Here it is. Oh my goodness, Novage got his hand up first. Just a sliver in front of Sandyy. So Snovage, you get 600 points for telling me who it is and the name of that ultimate.
It's Dairy, and her alt is
Oh, don't do this,
combo.
Novage. Don't do this,
I
Novage.
know.
Don't
I
throw.
think Sandy's gonna steal it.
Don't throw it away right now, Novage, because you know Sandyy knows the answer to this, and you're never going to be able to live it down.
It's not.
This is
it's
the
not,
easy one.
Yeah, it's not Wombo Combo, is it? No.
I don't know. You tell me what your answer is, and I'll tell you if it's right or wrong. Is that your final
I can't
answer?
finish
Wombo
it.
combo?
Yeah, I can't. I'll go with that. Yeah.
It is not Wombo combo. Sandyy, what is the correct response?
Combo star.
That's correct. Sandyy just walks away with it at the end. That is what we call an overtime nail biter. That was great. So, that being said, with that phenomenal finish by Sandyy and disappointing flail at the end by Novage, we're going to end off the show. Thank you all for joining us today on the Boar Hat Tavern, Seven Deadly Sins Grand Cross podcast. We stream this show live on our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Boar Hat Tavern, every week on Monday nights at 9:30 p.m. Pacific time. Sandyy, if people are looking for your YouTube content, where can people find it?
New content coming soon. ReZero collab. That's gonna put me back in the game. YouTube.com/Sandyy. That's with a double Y 7DS.
If you'd like to get in touch with us, you can email us anytime at podcast@boarhattavern.com, or you can follow us on Instagram or Twitter at @boarhattavern. All three of us are members of the Global Guild Denied, part of the Scoundrels Alliance. If you'd like to join our ranks, reach out to us on Instagram, Twitter, or send us an email. And we're always recruiting, and we got some space for some Guild Wars guilds in our alliance too, so definitely hit us up if you can. You can subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, or wherever you happen to find us online. We're probably going to be there. You can also find our shows on our website at boarhattavern.com. And yes, 15 weeks later, it's still really crappy, but hey, it's work in progress. We'd like to thank Madeline Merwa for crafting our killer logo, Streetwise Rhapsody from YouTube for composing our awesome cover of the Grand Cross theme song that we use for our intro, and Andre Bobe from ArtStation for letting us use his outstanding 3D renders of the Boar Hat Tavern for our pre-live and post-video splash screens. You can find all of their work in the description wherever you're listening to or reading this. Or reading it. Who's reading this? Watching it. Anyways, thank you everybody for listening. Have a great week.
Bye.